Alert Weather Extra. It was a nice day, but tomorrow we're expecting showers to move in. The timing and how much you may see, we'll talk about it coming up.
And it's the fourth day of Severe Weather Awareness Week, and we're on your side with how to stay safe in the event of a tornado.
Plus, we talk about how El Nino and the potential La Nina will affect this year's severe weather season.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And thank you for staying with us here for Weather Extra. Of course, great having JP joining Tania and I today. And JP, I guess with the clouds out there, I guess it's still okay flying weather right now?
Some of the best.
Yeah.
It was a little bumpy today, but it wasn't bad. You know, we got the rain moving in over the next several days, but all in all, I don't see a lot of severe weather potential here over the next couple of days, which is good news.
Yeah, it looks like all the instability is going to be kind of bottled up down into the southern part of the state. Let's go to our next big thing. Let's talk about what's going on here. We are going to get a lot of rain. We got that pipeline of moisture. Here it comes. This is going to start tomorrow. You can already tell today, I mean, the clouds moving in across the area. A lot of rain that's going to set in starting, it looks like Saturday we'll see that heavier rain starting to impact the area, but a few scattered showers that will start to come into play across the area tomorrow. But as this event sets up, there is an increasing risk for some localized flooding. There could be some trouble spots out there by Sunday and Monday as we have more heavy rain on the way, especially for areas to the north. Now, this is not a severe storm outlook. I know it looks similar to the SPC product, but this is the Weather Prediction Center excessive rain outlook, and you can see it shows at least a 15% area there highlighted for areas to the north for the risk of flash flooding. So we'll need to watch out there. But right now it's a little bit cooler. I know that chill was in the air today. It didn't feel quite as warm because we had the clouds overhead. It's still going to be chilly tonight, so certainly grab the windbreaker, light jacket. You'll need it this evening, but you won't need the umbrella. We stay dry tonight. The showers come back tomorrow, and a few spotty showers when we head out tomorrow morning, but we're going to have a steadier rain. It's going to take a little while to set in, but eventually it's going to build in here by Saturday evening and continue Saturday night and then early on Sunday. And here we go again, another Sunday with off and on rain that can happen throughout the day, and that's the point when we'll need to be weather alert there, especially on the tail end of this system for the possibility of some trouble spots. And watch those rivers and local waterways there as well into early next week. But rain chances you can see really going up into Sunday and into 70% chance of rain there Monday before this comes to an end. But as we get closer here, we're just getting a much better idea of timing all this out and when the rain's going to start and those greatest chances. So we'll continue to fine tune that forecast. Plus, we're taking you beyond the 7-day forecast as we continue right here on Weather Extra.
All right, thanks, Wes. As we head into the last few days of Severe Weather Awareness Week, meteorologists Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson, they join us to talk more about tornado safety.
We continue our Severe Weather Awareness Week with day 4, which today is the day where we're going to talk about a topic that I think when people think severe weather, Mickey, they think of one thing.
Tornadoes.
They think of these things.
Oh, man.
It's fake, thankfully.
Yeah.
But yes.
Getting worried.
Tornadoes.
Okay. So tornado safety is what we're discussing on, what is this, day 4 of Severe Weather Awareness Week.
That's right. So let's go ahead and break down tornadoes. Let's talk about how tornadoes form, because believe it or not, tornadoes are kind of rare. They just don't always develop. You have to have the right ingredients for development. So one thing that we look at when it comes to seeing tornado formation is the wind setup. So you can see in this particular diagram here, change in wind direction between the surface and into the upper levels. So at the surface, we'll get some warm air, southeasterly winds, and then as you go farther aloft, you get that cool, dry air. You usually have a cold front trying to move through, and that's coming in from the northwest. So sometimes those change in directions can create a little bit of that spin or a little bit of rotation.
Yeah, and it starts out in a horizontal rotation and then ends up more vertical as the tornado forms. So you got to get those ingredients together, and that's what will happen. Typically, it happens in a severe thunderstorm warning.
That's right. So you have to have all the ingredients to create a tornado. So if you're missing something, it won't form. So it's just, I always like to compare the analogy of baking. If you're trying to make a chocolate cake, if you don't have chocolate, you don't have eggs or milk, you're not going to be able to make a cake. So if you're missing those ingredients, you're not going to have a tornado. But the more dynamic it is, the greater chances you could see tornadoes form. So we've been talking about safety a few days ago. Of course, when it comes to homes, we always say go to the center part of your house. But, you know, we've had people question, what about apartments? You know, what do you do in those situations? And apartments are different. You can be on a one-floor apartment, could be several stories. So what do you do, Mickey?
Well, even in an apartment situation, if you can, if you have a friend on the lowest floor, that's certainly the best bet. But just as many walls between you and the outside, go the interior space of your apartment if you have to stay in that facility.
Yeah, and stay away from windows. That's always very important. Lowest floor, if there's a lobby, go there. If there's a stairwell in the center part of your of where you live, maybe go underneath that as well as a place to stay safe. So that's just an idea for apartments. But there's a lot of locations that can be a safe place and a lot of locations that aren't very safe.
Yeah, we all know about mobile homes are not the safest place because, you know, they're above the ground. They're also, if they're not strapped down well, that wind gets underneath there. They're not as good a structure as something that's built into the ground. Large open rooms, I think about, you know, some of these department stores that have these broad roofs, you know, that aren't as well supported. And then vehicles underneath an overpass, you think of wind that comes through. Like if you put your finger or thumb in front of a garden hose, you're concentrating that stream and it makes a higher pressure. So you get underneath an overpass, you have that same wind trying to go through a narrow opening, and it makes the wind even stronger.
Yeah, there was a very popular video, 30 years ago, I think, showing people going underneath the overpass, and that was such a popular clip. Everyone just thought that's what you do, but you don't do that. You need to not either be on the roads, or if you are on the roads, pull over, go to a ditch, or see if there's a nearby building to take shelter. So those are some unsafe places. Of course, mobile homes, manufactured homes are a great place for affordable living, but when it comes to tornadoes, maybe see if you can go to a storm shelter or maybe visit a friend if there's a tornado threat. But more safe option, of course, is the interior room of a well-constructed home or building. So we've been mentioning that center part of the house, lowest floor.
Most safe is if you have a storm shelter or a basement. You want to get underground. So, you know, tornadoes, it's a phenomenon that can't go underground, or just they can't do that. So if you can get underneath the surface, that's certainly the best place to go.
Yeah, how to zoom that in for you so you could be able to read that. And of course, when it comes to safety, have ways to receive warnings. Already have a plan in place. Once there's a warning, it's just too late to make a plan. You should have already had that plan in place. And best ways to get those warnings, of course, downloading the WBRC First Alert Weather app, having a NOAA weather radio, fresh batteries, and of course, tuning in right here on Fox 6.
That sounds good. Why do you have to mention chocolate cake?
I like it, and it's a good way to think about it.
Hungry.
Got to have chocolate for chocolate cake.
And as we continue to go through this winter season, new data from the Climate Prediction Center suggests that this El Nino is the strongest it's been since 2015. It's being called a super El Nino due to ocean temperatures rising over 3 degrees Fahrenheit above average. This has only happened 5 other times since first recorded in the 1950s. As we all know, El Nino is known to produce stormy weather across the southern portion of the U.S., but as El Nino has likely reached its peak, what does that mean as we potentially head into La Nina conditions? I'll have the details on that a bit later, so make sure you stay tuned for how that can impact our severe weather season locally.
And in California, JP, cleanup is underway on Grover Beach after reports of a possible tornado on Wednesday. Damage reports of downed trees and power lines came through after the storm made landfall. Some buildings also saw some minor damage, according to county officials. The National Weather Service saying they will continue to survey the area throughout today and, of course, tomorrow to determine if the damage was actually caused by a tornado or just those straight line winds. And in 30 seconds, I'm joined by a special guest to talk about a special tool dedicated to helping you find that safe place, that tornado shelter in your area or even across the country. We'll be right back. What chair? Oh. All right, Craig, you are coming up. So stand by. We're 20 seconds out. 10 seconds out. Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Tania Michelle, and with primary severe weather season around the corner, it's never too late to start seeking out your local tornado shelters. So joining me today and us today, we're talking about his website. It's a really great tool. This is Dr. Craig CC, and he made the process finding your safe place a little bit easier. Craig, could you tell us a little bit more about what you have created to help people all across the U.S.?
I created a Google map and I made it, started a couple years ago while I was working on my PhD dissertation, and it's expanded over time to try to pinpoint the exact location of tornado shelters across different areas of the United States. I started locally here, including in central Alabama, as well as here in Mississippi, and it's branched out over the last year or two. And I continue to add more as I find more, either as they new open, as more are opening this spring in central Alabama, or as more are determined to be located as I take a look through maps and Google imagery.
Thanks, Craig. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties in hearing you clearly, but I just wanted to reiterate, he created this website that you can use to basically go online and find a local tornado or storm shelter near you so that you can identify where your safe place is at. And say if you're traveling somewhere else in the country, right, Craig? If somebody is somewhere else in the country, they can even see if there's a severe storm in their area, where to go if they need to find that safe place. So it's such a great tool to have, especially if you're not at your home. And so, Craig, what made you want to create something like this? Did you see a need for it?
I absolutely saw a need a couple years ago when I was spending time here in the shelter here in Starkville, Mississippi, and realized, where are these shelters across the country? And I didn't find a map anywhere that covered more than a small area, like a single county. So I decided to go ahead and start making one myself. And I also found through research in my own dissertation that people are interested in finding locations, and hopefully it'll become an app or other an upgraded map, including on mobile devices in the near future. That's something I plan to work on.
I think that's such a great idea. So once again, this is called Find Your Tornado Shelter, and it helps you to locate storm shelters across the area and of course near you. So Craig, tell me a little bit about, I know you have a PhD, weather is the fundamentals of what you've been studying. Tell us a little bit more about what research you're planning to do in the future.
I would like to know how well these are actually used and what the real demand is through emergency managers in different areas of the country, and how much meteorologists share these. I'm actually in the process of working on research right now, even after I finish, and working to publish new research projects that I've done over the last few years to determine how well these are used. And I know you are a leader in sharing and developing tornado shelters at WBRC and across central Alabama. So you represent an excellent case and a best practice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Craig CC. You guys heard it here once again. If you ever need to locate your safe place, that storm shelter near you, don't hesitate to check out findyourtornadoshelter.org, I believe. Don't hesitate. That website is free for you to use, and you can also get .com, excuse me, findyourtornadoshelter.com. Thanks, Craig. Thank you so much for joining us.
Findyourtornadoshelter.com.
Thank you. Still ahead on First Alert Weather Extra, we talk about this weekend's rain chances and how La Nina could potentially affect this severe weather season. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. We are tracking more clouds across Alabama right now, but no wet weather expected at least for the next few hours. So if you're heading out this evening, we'll stay dry. But notice we will start to see some showers moving in during the early morning for areas to the northwest. Certainly if you have any building materials, anything that may need to keep dry tonight, maybe just certainly want to make sure things are covered up. You can see we've got showers that will be around going into tomorrow morning. By tomorrow afternoon, it still looks like we're going to have some decent breaks, and actually tomorrow, those in-between periods, it's going to feel pretty good out there. Not quite as chilly as today as that milder flow really takes over. We'll see temperatures in some parts of the area. Look at Rockford, 67 degrees there, and that's only at 1 o'clock. I mean, later on in the day, we could touch 70 in some of these areas here, especially south of Birmingham and south of Tuscaloosa and Anniston. There's 10 o'clock tomorrow night, so if you have Friday night plans, once again, it's still very spotty showers. We're not seeing heavy rain just yet, but it's coming as we go into the weekend. There's Saturday morning, perhaps a few breaks. If you need to run an errand there on Saturday and you want to get out ahead of the wet weather, there's a chance that there will be some breaks around Saturday morning, but the rain's just going to continue to increase. You can see here it comes during the day Saturday. It's going to start dropping in. We'll see more and more of this wet weather, and it's going to fill in. So again, tomorrow morning, maybe a few scattered showers, but still some nice breaks there later in the day. But tomorrow night could be a few scattered showers, and that chance is going to continue into Saturday morning. But you can see Saturday afternoon especially and into the evening, rain chances go way up, and it's probably going to rain all night Saturday night and into the morning on Sunday. So we'll have another prolonged period of wet weather. But actually, I mentioned, it's going to rain Saturday night into Sunday. It's actually going to rain off and on throughout Sunday as well. So again, another Sunday where we're going to have steady rain at times, and then Monday is probably going to be the time frame when we'll finally start to see the back edge of this system making its way west to east across the state of Alabama. Could we have any thunderstorms? Possibility is there, a few embedded storms, and in those areas, that's where we could end up with some rain amounts easily topping 2.5 inches, maybe even over 3 inches in parts of our area. So we got a lot of rain in the forecast, and you can see Sunday, once it gets in here, it's going to be with us for a while into Monday, and then finally by Tuesday and Wednesday, we will dry out, and it still looks like we're on track for dry weather on the Valentine's Day holiday. So if you have plans, have reservations, looks like we're going to have some big improvements there for the middle of the week. But as we go beyond the 7-day forecast, we're going to be talking more about more wet weather, another system that could impact the area. As we go to meteorologist J.P. Dice joining us. And J.P., we were talking about beyond the 7-day forecast, but we also had some interesting data that popped up today talking about this El Nino phase that we've been in, but it looks like we may be seeing more of a transition to a La Nina cycle. And tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, La Nina transition happening probably the way it's timing right now, and based on the data and what the folks at NOAA are looking at, late spring. We'll get more on that in just a bit. Let's take a look at our First Alert weather calendar. As Wes mentioned, Valentine's Day looking good. Some sunshine there. We clear out nicely through the week, and then wouldn't you know it, the following weekend, we're talking next Saturday and Sunday, another opportunity at some rain. Once we get into this pattern where you have rain almost on a weekend basis, you kind of get stuck in that rut. Where's the cold air right now? It is bottled up well to our north. There is the possibility, some of the forecast data indicating we could have another bout of some colder air that will move in as we get into the next several weeks. Right now, there is a lot of that up in Canada and up toward the poles. We will stay mild, but you can see this cold air trying to get in here as we get into the latter part of the month. Now, I don't see indications that this would be single-digit temperatures or anything like we saw earlier, but it is going to be another bit of a cold snap. Let's show you something here. We're going to go over to Alabama tornadoes by month. Of course, this is Severe Weather Awareness Week. So we're talking about severe weather potential and what we can expect as we move into the climatological peak of our severe weather season. What months? March, April, and even May. April is the peak, 581 tornadoes from 1950 to 2023. So that's when we start to peak out in the tornadoes. But keep in mind, 12 months out of the year, we can see tornado activity. What's going to happen with the El Nino that we're in right now? It is going to transition into a La Nina phase. And a La Nina phase, as this Pacific current reverses, and we start seeing the warmer water back out to the west, we are going to see warmer temperatures locally. That equals more instability, more tornado outbreaks. There's research that's been done by the National Weather Service office in Jackson, Mississippi concerning this. El Nino, typically not a lot of tornadoes. La Nina, we do tend to see a more active setup. Even going into hurricane season, there is a higher risk of Atlantic hurricanes because of the lower vertical wind shear that you see during a La Nina season. By the way, it's not saying that this is going to happen as we get into spring, but looking back at the records, April 27th, 2011, the big tornado outbreak that we had, that actually occurred during a La Nina phase in the Pacific. So we'll keep you posted. Lots indicating that we could be transitioning into a more active severe weather pattern getting into April and even early May. And more of Weather Extra still to come.
Well, you're like part of the weather team here. You send those photos in, and we love seeing those weather photos, those weather pics. I believe we have Apple TV pulled up here. You can see we've got Charlotte Heights as from Lost Creek, lovely sunset. You notice those pink colors out there, too.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Another one here. That's by Charlotte as well. Ooh, I like that one, Wes. That was sent in 11 hours ago by Mandy Campbell.
Yeah, look at the fog
sunrise.
there.
Oh.
I love that. And you can send these in if you have the WBRC First Alert Weather app. It goes straight in to our computers here at the TV station, and we can pull these up.
Yeah, and not only do we share them here, we can share them on our Facebook pages as well. We love to showcase your beautiful artwork when you use those cameras, right?
Yeah, Margaret sunrise from Karen Edwards there. We have Donna Cockrell, another sunrise view. So A lot of sunrise photos. You know, Matt and Mickey are getting all the photos here. Wow, we're going to have to work on these evening photos. But yeah, we've had some lovely pictures, and we certainly appreciate you sharing those with us. But 7-day forecast, of course, JP, Tania. It's crazy how this pattern has flipped, but it always does that, right? You know, you have a drought, and then now it's all rain.
It corrects itself. Have you noticed, though? I mentioned that a few minutes ago. So we have a rainy weekend. We had a previous weekend was rainy. Guess what? When you go beyond the 7-day,
another one.
Another rainy weekend. Can we get a rainy Monday and Tuesday and have the Saturday and Sunday nights?
I know.
We'll see if we can work on that.
We're going to have to talk to Mother Nature.
It's that button over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the button over here on the right. We'll work on that for you tonight. Join us tonight. Updates first at 9.
We'll see you.